This is NewsBreak26 in Southwest New Brunswick. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Here's what's happening in our part of the world. More than 500 healthcare workers are already off work and isolating due to COVID-19 as a result of the highly transmissible Omicron variant, which currently makes up a minimum of 86% of the cases in the province. New Brunswick is currently on track to hit a new grim milestone in the COVID-19 pandemic of having 1,000 new cases a day as early as this week.
While our hospitalization numbers remain relatively low, that is likely to change in the days ahead. Omicron, particularly among vaccinated people, and especially those with a booster, does not appear to have the same severity as the Delta variant. The hospitalization rate for Omicron is less than 1 in 100 cases, compared to almost 6 with Delta. That doesn't sound like much of a problem until you factor in how quickly Omicron spreads. The sheer volume of cases is the concern. If we hit a rate of 1,000 cases a day, we could see more than 160 COVID-19 patients in hospitals across New Brunswick by mid-January. That would very quickly overwhelm our healthcare providers.
In order to ensure that not only our healthcare system, but also society as a whole can continue to function, New Brunswick has changed its approach to isolation requirements. Vaccinated people who test positive for COVID-19 will now only need to isolate for 5 days, while unvaccinated people will still be required to isolate for 10. Upon release from isolation, people must wear a mask continually and avoid vulnerable settings. The change is motivated by science that suggests Omicron is most contagious generally in the first 1 to 2 days prior to onset of symptoms and the 2 to 3 days after.
With the Omicron variant in particular, we know that the period of contagiousness is shorter. We know that the time that the virus is shed is shorter. Is it right at the 5-day cutoff? No, it's not exact. And just as the requirements for isolation prior to this change have not been exact in terms of, we look at a curve in terms of where we're going to get the most amount of benefit from the measures that we recommend.
Premier Blaine Higgs is currently in isolation after contracting COVID-19 over the holidays and credits being vaccinated and boosted with his moderate to mild symptoms.
I have a bit of a cough, I have a sore throat, some head congestion, and the symptoms are very much like having a cold. But having said all this, I'm thinking how fortunate that we are and how blessed we are in this province to have access to vaccines.
Starting this week, Public Health has changed its criteria for PCR testing in light of the abundance of Omicron cases.
Starting at the end of the day on Tuesday, diagnostic PCR tests will only be used in specific situations. They will be reserved for areas at highest risk, including healthcare workers and people who live or work in long-term care facilities, homeless shelters, and correctional facilities. In addition, people who are symptomatic and over 50, those who need a test for travel, and those who are identified as a priority by public health will also have access to PCR testing.
Everyone else, including those who are symptomatic but under 50, will now need to confirm their positivity with a rapid test and register their results online at the GNB website. Public Health will also no longer be reporting public exposures as it shifts its focus away from contact tracing for the general public. It will be up to those infected to notify people they were in close contact with. Due to the rapid spread of the Omicron variant, students will not be returning to in-school learning on January 10th, but will move to home learning beginning January 11th. This measure will remain in place for at least 2 weeks and will be then assessed weekly.
So these decisions, as difficult as they are, as undeniably negative an impact as they have on our students, are being made because we have to protect our hospital system.
That's all the news I have for you. For more stories and live-streamed COVID-19 updates for the province, follow us on Facebook at CHCO.TV.
A news and public affairs production of CHCO-TV, New Brunswick's only source for independent community television.